The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good afternoon, everyone. We'd like to thank you for joining us for today's Executive Management Professionals webinar entitled How to Use Social Media to Enhance Your Customer Service. I'm Michael Pope, the Vice Chair of the Executive Management Professionals Group and President of Safety Technologies, Inc. and Audio Video Interiors. First, I'd like to cover a couple of housekeeping notes before we get started. All callers will be muted for the duration of the call. Please be sure to use your question or chat log to submit questions, and all questions will be addressed at the end of the webinar. Additionally, a recording of the webinar will be available in the EMP resource library on esaweb.org. Also, CEU credits are available upon request. Please refer to the chat log for instructions. I would like to thank Alarm Capital Alliance for sponsoring this webinar and making it possible for us to bring this educational webinar to you. Now I will turn over to Kelly Bond, Senior Vice President of Sales and Marketing with Alarm Capital Alliance for some introductory remarks.
Thanks, Michael. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for attending today's webinar. I'd like to tell you a little bit about Alarm Capital Alliance before I introduce our speakers. At ACA, our goal is to unlock the value within your company through a strong, equitable partnership. By leveraging our unique business model, account acquisitions or complete company acquisitions are seamless, transparent, and highly beneficial to you and your customers. As an industry leader, having completed over 750 acquisitions, we recognize and appreciate the customer relationships you've worked tirelessly to build. Alarm Capital Alliance is committed to advancing your business to the next level and helping you leverage the equity you've built. As your trusted partner, we align our interests with yours to provide customized, flexible solutions to generate the capital you need to build your business for the future or to pursue new opportunities. And as a very happy customer of LightSwitch, I'm thrilled to introduce our speakers for today's webinar. Kristen Simmons is Partner and Customer Experience Architect at LightSwitch. Kristen is thrilled to dedicate herself to the long-held belief that creating customer advocates is the surest route to profitable business growth. Having served as a top marketer for well-known consumer brands, she helps clients turn a compelling vision into reality with results. Andrea Mamena is the founder and customer experience architect at LightSwitch. And Andrea enables clients to see their companies as their customers do, helping them create experiences that give customers less to complain about and more to love. So at this time, Kristen, Andrea, I'll turn it over to you.
Well, good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you may be. Thank you very much, Kelly, for introducing LightSwitch. This is Kristen Simmons, and I'll kind of be walking through some slides, and I have Andrea Mamena here with me, who's our esteemed social media expert, I have to say. So what we've done is we've tried to put together some things that we hope will apply to all of you out there, whether you're a large company or a small company or somewhere in the middle, give you some tips and tools to be able to take away a few things that you might be able to do starting now. So with that, we will dive in. 50% of consumers say that the last time they stopped doing business with a company was partly or wholly due to poor customer service. That may not be a huge shock, but I think so many times when someone leaves for a competitor, we tend to look at their product or their prices or their slick salespeople or whatever the case might be, instead of thinking about, well, what experience did that customer have with us? At LightSwitch, we're completely focused on exactly that, the customer experience. And delivering great customer service is a part of that. And so we are going to be looking today at social media tools in the context of how to make your customer service better or how to make your customer experience better. The goal of our webinar is for all participants to leave with at least one or two ideas for how you can use social media to improve the level of customer service that you provide to your customers. A whopping 62% of consumers use social media for customer service at this time last year, and the numbers keep rising. So even though it may be more popular in some industries than others, and even though the expectation of consumers may be different in terms of small companies versus large companies and who they might try to reach about a customer service issue, the point here is that that is the way things are moving. Consumers are using social media for this purpose, and that's only going to increase in the future. So what we're going to do today is basically go through 6 tips for using social media to improve your customer experience. And we're literally going to give you a snapshot right now of what those 6 tips are, and then we will walk through them one at a time, and where we can, give you some live examples, examples from this industry so that you can see folks who are doing a good job. So the first tip is to listen and to learn what others are saying about your business. The second tip is to provide quick and transparent responses. When we're talking about someone that gets online because they have a concern or they have an issue, this isn't just idle chit-chat. This isn't just a compliment. This is something that needs to be addressed quickly. 3, address longer-term opportunities by looking for patterns and listening for suggestions. So we'll talk about how you can use this channel to really learn more about how to improve your business. 4, close the loop. We'll show you some examples on how to close the loop when you're in social media and make sure that the final impression that you leave is a good one. Because again, while you may be just working with one customer who made a comment to try to resolve that issue, there are all kinds of customers and prospects who may be watching, and you want to leave a lasting impression with them as well. 5, give contact options. This is kind of a simple one, but it can often be overlooked. But using social media to actually promote the other ways in which people can get in touch with you about issues that they might have. And the 6th thing is to be proactive, to provide tips and resources to proactively enhance your service levels and provide customer service before people are asking for it. And there's actually some great examples of this being done out there by a lot of you. So we certainly have some of those to show. So that's kind of a snapshot of what we will be working through today. So the first step is to listen. And of course, in any customer service situation or even sales situation, right, listening is one of the most crucial skills you can have. So it makes sense that that's going to be the very first skill that you really focus on in social media. Sadly, one of the things that we see is that this is skipped. You know, people are so focused on wanting to do things on social media instead of stopping for a moment and saying, well, are we really listening to what's going on out there? One of the first very simple things you can do, most people are familiar with this, but not everyone does it, is to sign up with Google Alerts. You can be alerted every time, and you should be alerted every time your company is mentioned anywhere on the web. Secondly, listen to conversations about your competition. You can Google your competition. You can check them out on Yelp. You can put them in Google Alerts. And Google Alerts is completely free. This isn't anything that you have to sign up or pay a subscription for or anything else. It's one of Google's free tools. So why wouldn't you want to know every day what's being said about you or maybe your competition that's across the street? Third, look for industry trends. You can go to Yelp to see just who's doing well. Maybe they're not even necessarily in your area, not maybe necessarily in your service area, but just who's on top, who's doing well. How do people get 5 stars? What do customers say about those who do? Rip-off report is a really, or pissed consumer. These are interesting places you can go to see where people, where things are not going well and what's driving people to be upset. Just a simple Google search for home security reviews to see what shows up can be very telling. And look at yourself in that context. How do I fit into that mix? So those are just some initial steps on how you can use and peruse some of these social media sites to just understand where you stand and how you stack up. This is just an example of when you go into Google Alerts, and it's just very simple. Hey, I want my search query to be home security reviews. And then you can decide, I want to know once a day what's coming out. I want only the best results, or do I want to know about everything? And you know, you can create alert right then. It literally takes less than 60 seconds to do it. Second step, responding swiftly and empathetically to customer concerns. So again, you're going to get different types of feedback that you're going to see through social media, and some of it will be positive and some of it will be negative, but particularly when someone has an issue. Even if they're just ranting and they're not even necessarily expecting a response, the faster you can respond, the better. They want to know that somebody's watching. So answer promptly. And I know this is going to sound tough, but ideally within minutes. If you're on Facebook, you'll get those notifications. You know, if you're signed up on Google Alerts, you're going to find out at least once a day, you know, where somebody's posting something about you. Go there and read that and, you know, respond as quickly as you can, and try to cover the weekends as well, because that's when people are very active. Be genuine. You don't want to sound like a robot out there pushing out automated responses. Sometimes we think that sounding professional and sophisticated is a good thing, but in general, on social media, people tend to be more casual. Yes, you want to be professional, but you still want to be genuine and you want to be real. So even if you're posting something on behalf of your security company, it's great to kind of sign off your comment with your first name, or give that person a sense that there's really a person on the other end. Likewise, address that customer by name and just use friendly, colloquial, congenial language. Take the conversation offline when it's appropriate to do so. And so many times when customers have issues, it is appropriate to do so. You don't want to be sucking up the social network airwaves with your back and forth with an upset customer. So take the conversation offline, ask them to message you privately or email you at a particular address with the information that you need to access their account, and then you can start to truly handle their issue. Show empathy. Whether you're communicating with them online or offline, empathy is so important. Demonstrate that you understand what they're going through. And apologize where appropriate. It's unbelievable still these days how rare it can be to hear, "I'm sorry." If you screwed up, take ownership. It also says here, communicate your standards. And the idea there is let people know that if you fell down on the job, hey, this is not the way that we do business day to day. Here's what we stand for. Here's how we do business. It seems like you didn't have that experience. Let's figure out how we can make things right for you. And lastly, be expert. When you think about who you have responding to social media concerns, you know, make sure that those are folks who, you know, have the right social skills. But if you are getting a lot of technical questions online and you want to be able to quickly guide people to the right place, then make sure that you've got someone who's assisting on the social media team, you know, that's got that technical expertise. So that's a mouthful, but we have some examples for most of these. So here's an example from Alarm Capital Alliance. Of course, their consumer-facing name is My Alarm Center. And here's a great example of where they've taken an issue, they've answered it very promptly, and they've taken the conversation offline. So Debbie Scott writes, you know, will my rates go up when my contract expires? Now that could be a pretty heated question there. But you can see within a half an hour, My Alarm Center got back to her, said thanks for asking, gives a brief explanation that, hey, this is going to be a little bit of a customized answer. We should probably take this offline. Would you like an agent to contact you? She says, yes, please, and they end up having a separate phone conversation, and you can see that she came back very positively and said, thanks for the prompt response. Donna answered all my questions and was very helpful. Love My Alarm Center. I mean, that's the kind of gushing that you can only hope for in a social media exchange. Here's one we love just in terms of being friendly and personal from ADS Security. This isn't a concern. This is actually after a concern was handled, somebody went online and said, thank you, Melanie, in customer service. You're such a great problem solver. But we love the way that ADS came back and said, thank you for the compliment. We're so glad you had such a positive customer experience with Melanie. We think she's great, too. I mean, that is so personal. It really makes it feel like you're on the same team, the same side of the table. You're talking to a person, not just a company. Some examples of being empathetic and making your standards clear. Here's an example of someone that's writing into Vivint, and they're actually disappointed because they were a really happy customer who moved outside of Vivint's service area. And they're basically saying, I'm just upset that I can't have this security system anymore. And we love this explanation that says, Vivint strives to provide astonishing customer service with timely responses from our field technicians. And without a technician in your area, we're not able to do that. So they're basically saying to this customer, we're not willing to compromise. We think you deserve better service than that, but, we hope you'll consider us as we do expand into your area. And again, you can see that Chad signed his name personally. Again, we love that. So really nice response from them. And here's another one for taking ownership. This is actually a response to a negative Yelp review. Bay Alarm posted this response, but they have, this is in a string of 5-star reviews over and over, so many positive reviews on Yelp, and then there was a negative one. And it was very powerful to see that a vice president came on board and said, your review describes the exact opposite of how we'd like our customers to feel during an appointment, because making your appointment personal and designing a custom system is what we do. Please contact me so I can further understand your experience and how they can improve upon it, which is really proactive. And this is someone who basically decided to go with someone else, but yet Bay Alarm is saying, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to understand. So just very compassionate and very much taking ownership. And then the last example, this one's a little smaller. I hope everybody can see this on your screens. But be expert in your responses. This is someone who's able to respond promptly, but at the same time provide a little bit of technical information. So somebody's saying, I need you to update this iPhone app because I can't bypass with it. And basically the response from Vivint says, here's what you need to do if you're arming from the app, do A, B, C, D, and E, and you'll be ready to arm. You're good to go. So staffing with some people who, have that technical expertise. So that was a lot for step 2. Moving on. Step 3, look for patterns to improve customer service over the long term. So not only do you have the opportunity through social media to address issues real time, head on, but that gets you a lot closer to the way that customers are thinking about your business overall, and you'll start to be closer to the things that perhaps are going wrong. So look for recurring problems. When you start to see, even honestly a couple customers pipe up about something, there's usually a whole lot more who haven't. But look for those recurring problems. Do you see a pattern of complaints about pushy salespeople? These are just some things, by the way, that we noticed when we were out there scouring a lot of different social network sites. A pattern of complaints about pushy salespeople. Comments that suggest perhaps that customers don't understand the features of their systems, or complaints about getting trapped into contracts. That's probably one of the biggest things that you see on Rip-Off Report or BBB, as people getting trapped into contracts. So if you see those types of comments about yourself, or again, even about other companies, it's a great opportunity to say, well, how do we handle that situation, and what are our customers going through? So look for ways to prevent these in the future. Is there a policy change that you can make? Is there an educational campaign that you can do? Can you go further with, we're aware of one security company who they really did start to understand that people were forgetting about so many of the features on their systems, and so they put a lot more, they invested a lot more in the tutorials that go on at the beginning of the relationship. Or is there a process improvement that you can make? If you have a lot of folks complaining that it's billing difficulties, look into that. What is that? What can you do better? So this step 3, we don't have specific examples about this because we didn't want to bring up a lot of negatives, but some of the ones on this page are things that we do see for this industry, and it does give you an opportunity to take a closer look at yourself and your policies and your processes. Step 4, closing the loop. So when these complaints, concerns, issues come up, and you address them, and you help the customer, and you maybe take the issue offline, one of the important things is that you close the loop online, and that can be forgotten. And what that looks like to other customers or prospects is they'll see a conversation perhaps that started on Facebook, and maybe your company says, hey, yeah, can you email us here? We'd love to handle that for you. And then maybe that's exactly what happened, and perhaps the customer's elated, but to everybody else reading, did anything ever happen with that? people are kind of curious. So what we like to recommend is after handling a customer issue offline, return to the social network conversation to demonstrate to all those customers and prospects who might visit that the issue was handled. Ask the customer there to confirm that the issue's been fully resolved. And many times that actually elicits a response from them that everybody can see that, hey, so-and-so handled my issue, I'm a happy camper, life is good, and then that's exactly the way that you'd ultimately like to leave that impression for others to see. If you've made changes to a process or a policy like we were talking about on step 3, then give credit to the customer. Go out there and say, hey, Donna, you brought this to our attention. We realized that, this was something that we could fix. This is going to be much faster in the future, or much better in the future for all of our customers, thanks to your feedback. Not only does that show that you listened and took action with her concern, but it shows everyone else that, wow, this is a company who's pretty serious about always improving their business and their service levels. So here's some great examples. Again, another one from Alarm Capital Alliance under my alarm center here. Somebody comes onto Facebook and says, my fire alarms are chirping very loud. Can I replace the batteries? And they go back and forth a little bit and ultimately end up helping this customer over the phone. And my alarm center comes back and says, LaShonda, we understand JM reached out to you. Is there anything else that we can do? And she says, nope, she was able to help me figure out, what I've got going on. Thanks so much for your immediate response. You all are great. And she ends by saying, the customer for life. Again, I mean, geez, you couldn't really write it much better than that. So, way to go to them for going back out to this channel and getting her to basically give them kudos for taking care of the problem. Step 5, make it easy to start a dialogue. When we were going through the top 6 steps, you'll remember that one of the things you can do on social media is actually make it easy for the customer to take their issue offline. Instead of perhaps posting their dirty laundry on Facebook or tweeting about it, make it easy for them to come to you. So again, we've got Alarm Capital Alliance here with a good example of that. If you look at their Facebook page, you can go right and click on support, and it actually gives some different numbers that people can call, talks about their hours. And one of the other things that we love is it actually says, hey, if you're a customer, you can log onto your account, and here are some of the things that you can do when you're there. If you've got those kind of self-serve tools for customers, it's great to be able to kind of trot them out wherever you can and make sure that people know about them. Another example of kind of making it easy to start a dialogue. Here's Vivint. They have a new customer who said, we just signed up. Everything was awesome. Looking forward to great service. So again, this is one where there's not an issue or concern, but Vivint takes that opportunity to put that out there on Twitter and say, hey, that's good to hear. Feel free to tweet if you have any questions. So they're making it known that, we are here and we do customer service in this channel if you need us. Step 6, last but not least, provide tips and resources that you can put out there proactively that really enhance trust from your customers, and again, also let prospects know that you're really serious about being an authority on safety and security. And there are a number of great examples of this. What we want to see here is making your customer service proactive. So show that you're thinking ahead, show that you're thinking about what might be on a customer's mind at this time of year. Also think about how you are positioning your own company. Are you saying we're a safety and security expert? Are we an integration expert? Are we a do-it-yourself expert? If you're positioning yourself different than the competition in some of those ways, then those are important things to put out there proactively and get your customers thinking and helping themselves. Provide helpful tidbits to help customers improve their experience or their lifestyle accordingly. Here's some examples. Audio, video, interior featured today. Have you tested your smoke detectors lately? A friendly reminder from all of us to check and replace your smoke detector battery soon to keep you, your home, and your family safe. That's just a great proactive tip. Safeguard Security came on and talks about how it's vacation season. You can click through to a link and learn how to keep your home on lockdown while you're away on vacation. Some other great ones. Bay Alarm. It talks about tips for using space heaters. We all know that those can be very dangerous. So they give some proactive tips as the weather starts to get cold this year. Vivint Back in June, National Safety Month, they give you 10 essential safety tips for the summer season. You get the point. Here's a great example from Loud Security Systems. They are actually letting people know proactively, here's a new security system registration and ordinance that's taking effect in their area. You'll soon be required to register your alarm systems and face fines if you do not. And there's actually great dialogue that took place with customers after that. Someone said kind of snidely, hey, it would be nice if they provided a link on how to register, huh? But they got back right away and said, you know, we're going to post one, we're going to find one, and they get one up there really, I think, within the hour. And he says, wow, that was fast, nice job. So again, getting out there in front of people and really trying to help their customers stay up to speed with this stuff and make sure they don't face fines. So we call that proactive customer service, and we thought that all these examples were truly excellent. So that was kind of the six-step approach. Just wrapping up with a couple of final thoughts here. 78% of consumers agree that social media is really the next era of customer service. Yet 71% of respondents in the same study could recall a time that their own complaint on social media went ignored. And that's sad, and you certainly don't want it to be happening to your customers. So with that, we just want to say to all the folks out there, you know, whether you're a large company or a small company, there's really an opportunity for you to take social media and have it enhance the level of customer service that you provide today. With large companies, it's very important because consumers will expect you to have a more extensive presence, and they will expect you to have a quicker response time than the smaller companies. On the other hand, the smaller companies have a huge opportunity as well because small companies in general tend to be a little more flexible, a little bit quicker on the dime, and sometimes able to quickly change some of their processes, not have as formal a culture, those types of things. So there's really an opportunity and an expectation for companies of all sizes to get out there and use social media to enhance what you're doing today. So our final thought is to leave you with some resources. The first is if you go to HubSpot.com, that is a great resource tool. Basically, they provide website services to companies, and you may like them for that reason. But as they go after that business, they provide, oh gosh, volumes and volumes of useful information on marketing through social media, white papers and tutorials and templates and you name it. So HubSpot.com is a great place to go. Maybe subscribe to their newsletter, but definitely when you're looking for things, you know, look at their white papers and things. Hootsuite.com. That is a tool where you can manage multiple sites from one place. If you're on Facebook and Twitter, multiple social networks, this is just a great tool to be able to kind of manage it in a succinct way. AmyPorterfield.com, she's probably like the foremost Facebook for business expert, and she makes everything simple, whether you're a large company or a small company. Great training tools, great ideas out there. You can go to her website to learn more. And PageModo.com actually helps you design your Facebook page. So if you need a new one or you need a Facebook page, that's a great place to go for that. And from all of these places, you'll start to realize there's so much that's out there. You'll probably get to one of these places and learn about more and more resources to help you with your business. So you will not be alone. And with that, you know, our parting words are that we can expand your customer service ethic. If you expand your customer service ethic on social media, you really have the opportunity to delight more customers, to impress more prospects, and at the same time, through powerful listening, learn powerful ways to improve your business. And we figure who can ask for more than that? So thanks very much for listening. That's kind of our speedy 6 steps to using social media to enhance your customer service.
Okay, well, this is Deanne Harm from RFI Communications and Security in San Jose. And I just hope that you found this information to be informative and all the content to be something that you want to dive into. We're going to now move on into any question and answers for the webinar. Please feel free to continue to enter your questions into the chat log. And I will go ahead and start out with one question, though, for you ladies. This was a really good, informative customer service look at how to do things differently. We're not a big social media user company, and so for me, I found a lot of very informative ways to communicate with our customers in a more effective manner using this next generation's way of communication. That being said, with small, medium-sized companies, you gave some good resources about how to get informed, but who do they really pick? How do you engage somebody within your own office to help you with this, or do you suggest going outside of the office, or what kind of resources are out there to help people get started?
I think that you have to look within your organization and see who would be the logical person to do that. It depends on the size of your organization as well, obviously. But if you have someone who handles your marketing and or your PR within the office, then they would be a natural fit for something like this. Because they're usually skilled in that language, they know a lot about the company, they know a lot about the key messages, and are probably handling those things here and there. Also, if you have a customer service department, that's a great place, obviously. And what you could do is, or if you're the owner and this is something that you can take on, if you're a very small company, it really doesn't take that much out of your day, especially if you're small, because the volume is not going to be as large as someone like a, perhaps a Vivint or like a Best Buy or a Comcast or those that are on there all day long. You don't necessarily need a fully dedicated resource. You need someone to be monitoring it, though. And when you do set up these accounts, you are able to set up alerts so that you are notified. You can get a notification on your phone that somebody posted on your Facebook page and somebody posted on Twitter, and those can be pushed out to you, so you can be really anywhere and take a look at them, and with your mobile device you can even answer. So hopefully that answers the question. But it just depends on the size of your company and the level of interaction you'll be having online. But it can easily be done with somebody you already have on staff.
Yeah, and a couple other thoughts to throw on there is, start with what you're comfortable with. I mean, most of the small companies, consumers aren't necessarily expecting them to be as active, say, on Twitter real time. So maybe you start with Facebook and you really pay attention to what's going on there. And I think the important thing about the person that you have doing this, whomever it is that when you're small, it doesn't have to necessarily be someone dedicated. It needs to be someone designated. So you do want to have one place where it's filtered so that you have a strategy and you have some cohesion there. But like Andrea was saying, because your volume is small, you don't need to pull them off of their day job necessarily. And just start small. Put your toe in the water and, listen first, like we said, and then respond to those concerns that need it. And then you can start later on to do some of the more proactive things where you're really trying to engage people in further dialogue. But at the very least, start by listening and then responding.
Those are great tips there. I'm looking to see if there are any other questions that anybody may have. If you do have those, send those in to Jacqueline. And if not, I'm going to go ahead and move forward, and I'll look back and see if there's any in just a minute here. If we don't have any more questions, I'd like to encourage everyone to keep the conversation going. All executive management professionals are invited to attend the 2014 ESA Leadership Summit taking place on January 19th through 22nd in Orlando, Florida at the Rosen Center Hotel. This year, the summit has placed the ESA professional groups at the heart of the event. There will be an EMP meeting that takes place at the summit, along with a compelling lineup of educational sessions designed for the security company leaders just like you. An exciting new feature of the event this year will be the best practice roundtables that will take place out by the pool and offer a fantastic opportunity to dive deeper into the best practices like the one shared today. Please visit the www.esasummit.com to learn more. And finally, I'd like to remind everyone that a recording of the webinar and a copy of the PowerPoint presentation will be available in our EMP resource library at esaweb.org. I'm seeing if there are any more questions, and we're not there. So Last of it is if you'd like to receive the CEUs for this webinar, please contact Jacqueline Sion directly at jacqueline.sion@esaweb.org. I just really want to personally extend a big thank you to Alarm Capital Alliance for their sponsorship of today's webinar, and also for Kristen and Andrea for just a very informative, wonderful presentation. We appreciate all of you participating in your time and hope that you find the content useful. And to all of you, hope you have a really good rest of the day and rest of the week. Thank you.